Hello everyone. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks a lot for the invitation. For me, it's actually somehow coming back. I also dress myself accordingly. Let's jump in. I was just asking Tobias and Marcos before when actually APPUiO was launched. And it was 2016, and I don't know if you see it, it's me there. I had the honor together with Benjamin Affolter from Puzzle. I was still working for Puzzle then, to announce or kickstart or kick off APPUiO at the Red Hat Forum then. It was a big stage and I was really nervous. Small stage and I'm always somewhat nervous. Let's go into OpenShift. I will try to get you some information about what's new with OpenShift. So let's start. We are going to go now through every single point here. The next one, it's not finished. But I actually wanted to somewhat show you here. It's that we are investing a lot. We are doing a lot from Red Hat side to do something with OpenShift and also contribute a lot to Kubernetes. For me it's overwhelming. It's also for me as a solution architect in Red Hat, it's really difficult to keep up with all the changes. It's every 3 months there's coming a new release. We try to keep up with the Kubernetes release. I try to condense that to some features we think, or we heard also from customers we are having, what is important to them. So I'm going to do just some spotlights especially from 4.13 that came out last July, I think. And then I want to give some updates where we are going, where we are investing. We see OpenShift more not like really a Kubernetes platform anymore, more than an application platform. Developer is always actually in the focus, so that the developer can really develop really quickly. Of course, operations is really important as well, but this I think changed a lot from the release 3 to 4, where CoreOS had a lot of influence because they knew how to operate actually Kubernetes. So and there was a lot of influence then from CoreOS, and I think it's a lot better than with OpenShift 3. Spotlight features. What is new with 4.13 is it's coming now with RHEL 9. RHEL 9 is now, I think, 1.5 years old. So with the operating systems, you are now with the latest release. Did you already update it to 4.13?
Working on it.
Some glitches, or was it smoothly? No problem. Okay, good. Kernel changes from 4.18 to 5.14, and we try to, especially with RHEL 9, we try to have a lot of security changes in there to make security more inclusive within the OpenShift, within the our all and ever Red Hat Enterprise Linux. What is quite new is we had the machine sets where you could easily spin up machines, also worker nodes, but the control planes, it was not really possible. We also introduced some time ago the HyperShift hosted control planes, it's called, to actually consolidate all the control planes into one super uber control plane, and there it was not easy to add a new node. And this, with the control plane machine set, it should now be easy to, if you lose one node, to easily deploy a new master node, and also like bigger ones or scale them. That's one thing. And where a lot of customers were waiting for is the ARM support. We at the moment support only AWS and Azure ARM support. Yeah, can save costs with that. I know that SPB is already looking at it. It seems really interesting for clients to really have. Yeah, it's a cost thing. What is also nice, you can mix these different architectures. I learned also last week or 2 weeks ago that you even can run different kernel versions in an OpenShift cluster. I don't know if that's a good idea. Obviously, there's some influence from IBM. We support now IBM on power and set systems. There's several enhancements like FIP support. Yeah, that's mostly the most important things, I would say. Yeah, I think ARM is going to be a big thing for the customers. Bare metal, I think, is technical preview still. So no bare metal GA at the moment. Then what we also see a lot at the customers, they want to install something on the controller nodes, security tools where they can have surveillance, really have the control over it. And we now introduce with 4.13 the customizable RHEL Core OS. Actually, we do it the same way, like we do it with containers. On the top, you have the Kubernetes schedule, then you have your app, the OS dependencies, and based on the universal base image from Red Hat, persistent volumes, and then yeah, the config maps and so on. And actually, we try to do the same with the operating system beneath, with the Core OS, that you can then add custom content. Don't know, like security tools. Mostly it's a security tool. Security wants always to have insights into everything. Can add additional RHEL packages, and then in the end, it's our Core OS rootfs image, and then var and etcd or etc, where you can store your configurations and so on. What you also introduce, or it's what is going to come, hosted control planes, like consolidating them on a bare metal system. It's now technical preview. It's based on the virtualization from us. So OpenShift has also, you can run virtual machines in there. We actually, I think I don't know if it's really a good idea that we will discontinue our Red Hat virtualization. It's all going to come into OpenShift. And if you have a big environment, I think you need to have bare metal which have a lot of power and a lot of resources, and there it makes sense to have that all consolidated on a bare metal machine or bare metal machines. Yeah, that's one thing I thought was maybe interesting for you to know. Still tech preview. Then a lot of pain at customers was certification manager. Now there's an operator where you can install it via operator, and then the operator takes care of the certifications distributed in your OpenShift in clusters. Yeah, there's not much more to say. It's just a more convenient way how to handle certificates. Before I was having this presentation, of course, we have like TAMs, and he said what customers also were waiting for is like the custom metric autoscaler. This is now gonna be based on KEDA. Half an hour before I knew what KEDA meant, but now I don't know it anymore. It's actually some kind of stripped down Knative. where you can, based on events, and then act accordingly. Let's say spin a new node, or I don't know what you can else do, or spin an alert. It's really lightweight, and at the moment it's for GA with Prometheus, and still technical preview with the Kafka scaler. Then I think it's always really astonishing what we are supporting, where OpenShift is running. I mean, the ecosystem from OpenShift is really really big. We work with almost everybody. It took some time for Nutanix to finally be able to run it on Nutanix. AWS and local zones. I think it's for managed private clouds. I think it's nice. Of course, an IBM cloud, IBM Power Systems. I think it's always worth to look at where OpenShift is running on, and I think it's quite impressive, I would say. Automated install, interactive and connected, and also then local disconnected installation is supported as well. SNO means single node OpenShift, by the way. Is everybody aware that we are investing a lot in like Edge, OpenShift running on Edge? In really small computers. All you need is 2 GB of RAM and 2 CPUs. The project is called Microshift. Together then with ACM, that's the cluster manager, we think it's going to be really powerful to manage workloads from the data center into the edge. You can imagine then in the end everything is a container, and you can then install OpenShift in a really small device and then really manage it like anything else. I was mentioning before about developer focus. We see at the clients a lot questions there, because it's important. It's an important topic, because in the end applications are running on top on OpenShift. We introduced this developer more hands-on. When you go into OpenShift, you have the administrator pane, and then you have the developer pane. We did some enhancement there that they really can focus on what is important. I don't know if you heard of Podman Desktop. If you do something locally with your image, Docker or Podman images, that you can easily then put it on OpenShift. It's a club, I think now with version 1.0 it came out. Then Odo, that's more like a stripped down OC command line tool. Also more on the developer perspective, where it should be easier for developers to interact with OpenShift. And then Janos and Backstage. I don't know if you followed the summit in May, I think it was, where we announced the Red Hat Developer Hub. It's based on Backstage. Backstage is, I think, I always thought it was Netflix, but it's Spotify. Spotify introduced Backstage, I think, some years ago, like 2019, 2020. They had the problem that it was not easy for new developers to get onboarded into their ecosystems of the tools, into the pipelines, Gits, documentation, registries, processes, and everything. So they made this framework Backstage, which I'm going to introduce afterwards. And Janos is actually now a project initiated by us, which gives you some kind of plugin framework, which helps you to integrate with, of course, we are focusing first on our tools, with Tekton, Quay, let's say, with all the tools we are offering on top of OpenShift, so that you have then in the end a nice overview of your environment. When you onboard or when you start to develop things, how do you in the end bring your feature as easy as possible into the production? There's most probably a lot of documentation you would need to read. There's a lot of things you would have to configure in your OpenShift environment, that you have your pipeline connected, your Git repository, your registry, your Argo CD, your customize, or whatever else you need. And we are trying now to have like a single pane of glass, where you in the end log in, and then you have like these golden path templates, where it actually gives you some kind of guidance how you should develop your product or your feature or your program in the way your company wants it to, how you defined it. And you find it all in one single pane. You find the documentation, you see if the pipeline has running through, you see if Argo CD has deployed correctly, if it's in sync and so on. And therefore we have like this software catalog where you have your kind of languages you want to use. You have these software templates which you could use as you could flag them as a golden path. So let's say this is now the way to go, and then it really integrates really nicely. You actually create a new project, and then it guides you through all the parameters you need to put in to make it work. It makes also the authentication, let's say with GitHub or the registry, container registry, and in the end it deploys it like magic. No, it's of course you have to do a lot of configuration, but it scales. Then it goes more in the direction of a scalable software factory. We, for instance, with a customer of us, they are trying to have new customers onboarding, but they come really with a specialized project, but mostly with the same languages, mostly with Java, and they would like to have like a common way on how to onboard new projects, and they think it's really cool to have like some kind of like the best practices within this developer hub. And in the end, when it's deployed, you have also really a nice overview of what are the artifacts in there, what registries I'm using, is it healthy, and so on. Is my image, has it some vulnerabilities? It gives you a really nice overview. That was this. I think there is more to come. Project Janus, I promised to introduce deployment targets and installation methods. You can enhance plugins. You can really actually integrate your environment to this interface, and it should also help this to improve the Backstage platform. And it's kind of how would you say, decoupling our features we want to implement with OpenShift from Backstage, because Backstage, the community doesn't want always to implement our features, obviously, which makes sense. Here you could see what I was trying to say before, that you first select your template, configure your application, then Argo CD does the CI, the CD, does put the OpenShift or the Kubernetes cluster in sync, and then you actually can start developing. Actually, that's the aim of all this, and I think it's a really good thing. I don't know if it's the thing. I think there's a lot of things out there to do the same, but we are betting on this horse now. Yeah, of course, like I said, we are going to first somehow focus on our stuff, 3-scale, Keycloak, Tecton, topology, how does it look like, and so on, with Quay. And then the one that is almost everybody is using, JFrog and Artifactory. Yeah. What is also really interesting for some customers of us, I don't know, I see at most companies when developers are developing, their workstation is really like you can't do anything. Either they have like a virtual machine in there with Ubuntu or their favorite Linux, and they develop there. Or what I see also a lot is they like connect with a Citrix client and develop there. I see that really a lot. And then you have something on your laptop via mail or so, and then you cannot really copy, and it's not really the way we want to go. And Red Hat OpenShift Dev Spaces is, today we just announced it, it's 3.8. It's actually an in-browser IDE managed by OpenShift. It's installed with an operator, and then you actually just need your environment, your namespace, where you install your dev spaces. There you define then an image, a container image, where you have your Go libraries installed, your Java libraries installed, you have your favorite, I don't know, shortcuts or profiles in there where you can easily work with. And this, you define also there the number of CPUs you want, the number of RAM you need, and so on. And then you define this all in a dev file. And then you can actually, as a company, define the whole dev environment for your company. We have now a customer that is POCing it. It's also a lot of companies having external resources, and to onboard new developers is time consuming. Mostly takes like 2 weeks until you really have your environment running. And with this, it should actually instantly work. So I think that's quite a good thing. And at the moment, I know I was also thinking, IDE in a browser, is that really cool? I know before, some years ago, it was not cool at all. It was not working at all. But it looks really cool. It gives you really like the same experience like you would develop locally. At the moment, we support IntelliJ and VS Code as a standard. So yeah, that's the thing. These tools I see the most at the companies. Has everybody used this, or even knew about that? Not. Yeah, I think it's for big companies. I think it may be worthwhile to have a look at it. I know that the big bank, which does not really exist anymore, they are using it. Yeah, just from a perspective, like every developer is using the same, has standards, and also you can use then actually also the dev file you can put through a CI/CD pipeline, and also the image you're working on you can put through a pipeline. So it's really highly standardized. So I think it's worth to look at it. Yeah, that was actually it. I think there's no, yeah. And I don't know if you knew that we that when we get like the update, you get updates at the company, what is coming new and so on. It's with OpenShift 13. We always had this a closed session within Red Hat where they presented the new version of OpenShift. And we are actually only seeing the one that it's always publicly made available, and we always see the same. So if you want to stay up to date, I encourage you to subscribe to the OpenShift YouTube channel. It's there, and there when they start the session there, that is for us. We are watching the same as you are watching, so it's really nothing closed or so. So I encourage you to watch this one. Yeah, that was it.